Carlo Maria Buonaparte, or Charles Marie Bonaparte, was a Corsican lawyer and diplomat, best known as the father of Napoleon Bonaparte and grandfather of Napoleon III. Buonaparte served briefly as a personal assistant to revolutionary leader Pasquale Paoli, fighting with the Corsican forces against the Genoese Republic. With the island becoming French, Buonaparte eventually rose to become Corsica's representative to the court of Louis XVI. 20 years after his death, his second surviving son, Napoleon, became Emperor of the French. Several of Buonaparte's other children received royal titles from their brother and married into royalty. Carlo Buonaparte was born in 1746 in Ajaccio, Corsica, at the time part of the Republic of Genoa. He already had a sister, Maria Gertrude, born in 1741, and a brother, Sebastiano, born in 1743. His father, Giuseppe Maria Buonaparte, had represented Ajaccio at the Council of Corte in 1749. The Corsican Buonapartes were of Tuscan origin. Carlo's ancestor, Guglielmo di Buonaparte, had been a member of the Ghibelline-controlled Municipal Council of Florence in the 13th century. When the Guelphs faction took over Florence, Guglielmo and his family fled to Sarzana. Guglielmo's descendant Francesco di Buonaparte sailed from Liguria to Corsica in the 16th century for a new life. Carlo initially followed in his father's footsteps. He studied to be a lawyer at University of Pisa. Still, following a substantial inheritance from his father's death, he left before earning his degree to tend to his inheritance and take charge of family responsibilities. On 2 June 1764, he married 14-year-old Maria Letizia Ramolino. The Ramolinos descended from noble Lombard antecedents and were established in Corsica for 250 years. Their marriage was arranged by their families. Economic convenience was one of several factors considered while arranging the match, the main considerations being cultural compatibility in matters such as speech dialect, church habits, food habits, attire, and other family traditions. Buonaparte's new wife brought a dowry of 31 acres of land, including a mill and bakery, which yielded an annual income of roughly $10,000. For a period after his marriage at Ajaccio on 27 June 1764, he worked as a secretary and personal assistant to Pasquale Paoli. He had a son, Napoleon, who died in infancy in 1765, as did a daughter. Paoli sent him to Rome to negotiate with Pope Clement X in 1766. He had enjoyed his time in Rome up until being forced for reasons unknown back to Corsica in 1768, though he had possibly enjoyed an affair with a married woman during his stay, which led to his departure. At the time of his return, the Republic of Genoa had offered Corsica to Louis XV as payment for a debt. The French were eager to obtain the strategically placed island to protect their own coasts, and Genoa was equally keen to relinquish control given their inability to resist growing independence movements. Political upheaval followed as France gained ownership of Corsica, and many of Paoli's supporters had to flee to the mountains. Buonaparte and his family, now boasting newborn Giuseppe, who was the first child to survive infancy, were included. The family eventually returned to the town, where Buonaparte's wife gave birth to a third son, Napoleone. Soon after the French acquisition of the island, Carlo Buonaparte embraced the new government. He was appointed assessor of the royal jurisdiction of Ajaccio and the neighboring districts on 20th September 1769. Shortly after that, he became a doctor of law at the University of Pisa on 27 November 1769. In April 1770, the French administration created a Corsican order of nobility. Buonaparte became an advocate of the Superior Council of Corsica on 11 December 1769 and a substitute procurator of the King of France in Ajaccio in October 1770. Buonaparte already possessed the title of a noble patrician of Tuscany, or Nobile Patrizio di Toscana, since 1769 by permission of the Archbishop of Pisa due to his ancestry, and had his nobility confirmed on 13 September 1771. He then became the assessor of the royal jurisdiction of Ajaccio in February 1771, deputy of the nobility in the General States of Corsica on 13th September 1771, member of the Council of the 12 Nobles of Dila, Western Corsica, in May 1772, deputy of the nobility of Corsica at the Royal French Court in July 1777, and finally he was named Corsica's representative to the court of Louis XVI of France at Versailles in 1778. Despite being honored with many titles, Bonaparte's dissatisfied nature led him to embark on risky business enterprises. He made many claims on land and money through legal means, but his success was limited, and he burned through his finances rapidly. His apparent fondness for gambling worsened his monetary difficulties. Bonaparte noted his situation in his account book. In Paris, I received 4,000 francs from the king and a fee of 1,000 crowns from the government, but I came back without a penny. By 1782, Bonaparte was growing weak and suffering from constant pain. He traveled to Montpellier to seek proper medical care. Nothing could be done to quell the effects of what was believed to be stomach cancer, the same disease that may have killed his famous son, Napoleon. Carlo Bonaparte died on 24 February 1785, and due to his frivolous spending, left his surviving wife and 8 children penniless. Carlo Bonaparte's youngest son was born only 3 months before he died. Carlo Bonaparte's marriage to Letizia Ramolino produced 13 children between 1768 and 1784. 5 died, 2 at birth, and 3 in infancy. 8 children survived.